Hello, welcome to this episode of Exec Connect, brought to you by Facebook. I'm Ray and Pay, a team lead on our e-commerce global marketing team here at Facebook. I partner with direct-to-consumer brands across a variety of business models to help them in their business to grow. As a part of this series, we connect with executives to learn more about how they're operating and thriving in these highly unusual times. In today's episode, we'll focus on holidays and how the strategies might look a bit different this year than they have in years past. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Meg Johnson, who is Vice President of Marketing at Jane. She comes to us with over 20 years of marketing and commerce experience, particularly in the realm of marketplaces. Jane is a curated marketplace that brings small boutique and big brands together to offer daily discoveries and an inspiring point of view to women and their families. They have over 2,000 sellers on their platform with more than 400 new products each day. Meg, first of all, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm really excited to get to hear more about the work that your team is doing to prepare and to execute this holiday season.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
To kick it off, I would love to learn what is top of mind for you and for your team going into the holidays, and how will execution look a bit different this year?
Well, as everybody has known over the last few months, obviously there has been a kind of seismic shift, right, in what consumers have been looking for. And that's going to be no different this holiday season. Because we're a marketplace, for example, as a result of this pandemic, there's been a huge focus on helping small businesses, especially recover economically after what we've seen with COVID. So as a marketplace, that's one of the things that as we head into the holidays is top of mind for us, is how to help those small businesses be successful this holiday season. The other thing that we're looking at, obviously, is what our consumers are thinking about. And, as everyone knows within this retail space, everything has looked so different, right? For example, we have seen searches for holiday and Christmas appear 28 days earlier than prior years. Like, people start holiday shopping in September. Is that crazy?
It is.
But because of that, that's one of the things that our team kind of anticipated going into this holiday season, is that with people staying home and kind of imagining what holiday looks like, our holiday season theme is wherever together. Because we feel that with what's happening in the world, right? Like, what better theme than to roll out this holiday season, right? However you're going to celebrate, as long as you're together. And that may be virtually, that may be in smaller groups, right? Holiday is going to look different to everybody this year.
It's really meeting everyone where they are. That's hard,
absolutely.
Very hard to accomplish.
Well, it is hard to accomplish. And as a marketplace, right, we carry a lot of different things from fashion apparel to home decor. And so as we think about what that looks like for the holidays, right, we have to think about not only the gift giving season and how that may or may not be different for some of our consumers, right, but how they're currently living in their homes, right? People working from home, spending more time at home. They want to decorate. They want to feel that Christmas spirit. We saw that going into even Halloween and Thanksgiving. A lot of our fall decor went off the shelves really, really fast as people are thinking about what that looks like. As well as, maybe we're not getting as dressed up this holiday season to maybe go to as many parties, but we still want to feel fabulous, even if we're celebrating our home, maybe with a smaller group of people. So what does that look like, and what types of products are our consumers looking for? So we've been working with our fashion director and really looking at trends and continuing a lot of those athleisure wear, being comfortable, but also still being stylish while being in your home or celebrating in small groups. And we're seeing that that's paying off really big with our merchandising mix as well.
How do you, we had spoken before and you had shared holiday for Jane had really started in April. Can you speak more to, well, I think we know what prompted that, but what does that look like for this holiday season, given that you started so early in the year?
Yeah, so as COVID obviously started to kind of impact retailers all over, as many retailers and commerce sites know, you had to adapt very, very quickly. So as you mentioned, we saw kind of holiday level numbers pick up in April, where people started shopping more online because they couldn't go to local stores. But we also saw that we had to adapt really, really quickly with not only just the product mix that we have, but also with how we were marketing. For example, back in April, many businesses got out of using influencers and affiliates as part of their marketing channels, where we actually leaned in quite heavily during that time period. These affiliates and influencers are working parents, moms, and we knew that if we can continue working with them at this time and continue to offer and help them economically, that they would help be loyal to us as well. And that's paid off for us a lot. And we've deepened our relationships with those people, especially going into the holiday season, where for some, for example, influencer marketing may be new to a lot of businesses. We've leaned in really heavy this holiday season because it's been super important for us to obviously use the power of that channel, for example, on social media platforms, about how these influencers are, living at home, how they're celebrating their holidays at home, and giving people kind of that real life touch point of how to use our products in real life.
How do you, in terms of your influencers and creators, how do you think about building that relationship and why that's so important?
So how we think about that relationship is really a collaboration, right? They produce some amazing content because they know their audience really well. So how can we use the power of our brand and the power of their audience to come together to create content that will resonate with consumers? So when we think about campaigns with influencers, we very much come to them with what are they seeing? What is their audience wanting? What are some things we can do to help meet the needs of those consumers? And that's forefront when creating a campaign for us, for sure. On the back end of that, they have great feedback for us about what their customers are looking for, things that they've seen that have been selling well, and then we work together on what that looks like. And then we partner on the back end to get that IGC, right? To use those images and that content in our own marketing efforts as well, because it just resonates just as well as some of the photo shoot stuff that we're doing. And in this COVID world where we can't meet as well, it's hard to get some photo shoots. So I think a lot of retailers will probably hear me when it's like planning some of these big campaigns have been a challenge, right, in this new world. So having that type of content available, not only is it authentic because we've collaborated with the influencer, but it's also like performing just as well as some of the major campaigns where we would have had larger photo shoots. Actually, in some cases, better.
I love that. I love how you all are focused on building those relationships to really build the community on your platform between the sellers and their community. I know that there's some work that you all have done with your office, not being able to be back in the office, but using it for good. Can you speak more to some of the work there and around the photo shoots in the studio?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, obviously, we work with a lot of small businesses, and they don't have the luxury of the power that a lot of bigger businesses have, like studios and being able to go out again in this kind of COVID world, shoot. So we've been working with them on one of the biggest needs, obviously, is to get great pictures of their product. So one of the things that we're looking at in 2021 is pulling some of the in-house photo shoots inside and transforming our office into a space where our sellers will be able to send in products and we can shoot it for them, both for their marketing purposes and also on Jane. The great thing about that is it allows us to, for example, provide more diversity for them, where it's expensive to bring models of all shapes and sizes and ethnicities together. We can be able to do that in-house for them at a much lower cost and be able to turn that around a lot faster for them than what they could currently do.
That's incredible. I know that that's something that we consistently hear across a lot of partners that we work with. That's a huge pain point, and certainly I'm sure alleviates a lot for them going into the season and beyond.
Yeah. Well, and also too with our sellers, like a great, as we know, shipping, right? Like I'll just talk about shipping for a minute. Consumers in this pandemic, as we know, have been, they want to order stuff quickly. They want it to their house faster, right? And again, working with our sellers, trying to help them ship faster. One of the things that our operations and seller group have been working with our merchants on is helping them get faster shipping times, right? Because that's what consumers are expecting, that when they order something that they want it to come as quickly as possible, especially as we get closer and closer to Christmas, in order to be able to deliver those things, especially if it's gifts and it's timely. And of course, that hasn't been without its challenges. I mean, the post office raising prices, some of the logistics and transportation and things that have happened, right? So helping our sellers get ahead of that and turn those around quickly internally and get those shipped out. So we've modified some of our requirements in order to help them get that faster so that our consumers have the best experience this holiday season and they're not waiting for products, and we can compete with some of the big guys as well.
Yeah. It sounds like holiday not only shifted forward because of the search and intent, But to meet the demands on shipping, I think some of the other variables maybe outside of your control. I think that's interesting how you've moved everything forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we jumped on that early too. Like we were forecasting holiday trends with our sellers back in June. I mean, you have obviously for planning purposes in order to order and have those things available, right? I mean, the retail calendar for a lot of us got blown up, right? We skipped some seasons. So there's a lot of like, you know, what was left over? What can we move? At what price point? How do we, you know, people are kind of in their homes, you know, outerwear, boots, slippers. How are we thinking about how people are going to be using those, right? And trying to get those aggregated in a way that like appeal to the consumers and give them reasons like, hey, I want to make sure that I still buy this. I still need a coat, even though I may not be traveling as much, or, you know, maybe some comfier shoes, or, you know, sometimes that retail therapy is really going to help with all of us kind of being inside. So we want to give them lots of reasons to come back every day.
Yes, yes. Shifting gears slightly around, I guess your team and thinking about how your how the influencer aspect fits into the way your team is operating. Is that something that you have a separate team within marketing who focuses on the influencer relationships? Or is it not a net new team and they're doing everything, kind of a master of all trades?
Yeah, so we actually have a dedicated team for our affiliates and our influencers because relationships are so important to us. So we do have a dedicated team to that, but we work in conjunction, for example, with our social team. So one of the things, and you know, I am going to give a plug for Facebook because one of the great things that we have seen in the last 30 to 60 days is the rollout of IG shopping. For us as for us working with influencers, one of the big challenges, as I'm sure a lot of retailers struggle with, is return on investment for some of those influencers, and to be able to pay up front. Are you getting the return? Are you getting the reach and engagement that you would expect to get from those influencers? On the affiliate side, we work with, you know, a lot of affiliates who have direct links. And so we have that attribution for them, which is fantastic. But where IG shopping has come in handy for us is we know that people are scrolling Instagram. We know people are scrolling Facebook. And when they see a product tagged, right, it's more authentic to be able to grab it when you see in more of a natural post than sometimes even a paid post. So reducing that number of clicks and having an influencer say, hey, I just got this great, you know, sweater. You're going to want it this holiday season. Check out my cool stuff. Click here to order, versus typically what has been in the past, for example, Instagram would be, you know, click my link in bio, then I've got to click, see something else, then I've got to go to the website, then I've got to find it, right? It makes it a little more challenging for some of the consumers to get right down to it. Where IG shopping makes it really simple. They click on it, they can check out right on Instagram shopping. And the influencer knows immediately that they provided value to the brand, and the brand knows immediately that the influencer contributed to that sale, which is a win-win for all of us, and consumers can shop faster and quicker. So that's been really fun with us working with you guys on that. And we continue to see that as a big part of our holiday strategy going in through the holiday season.
Well, thank you so much for your partnership on that. I know that it's been a lot of work, and you all have really leaned in there. It sounds like the holidays are sure to be a ton more work, but certainly very successful for you all in building on the momentum that you've gained throughout 2020. I have a couple more questions for you. We'll change it up a bit, make it fun before we have to say goodbye. But I just wanted to see, given the work from home environment, what are you doing to stay sane?
Oh, well, one of the things that I'm doing to stay sane is I am cooking more and actually teaching my girls to cook more.
Oh, nice.
So I have young adults who are going into their kind of new life and in college. And so being able to be home more, we have done a lot more cooking and teaching them, where I think if we had both been all of us been a little bit busier, that would have been hard. So that's been really fun to be doing that, which, you know, I've put on a few of that quarantine weight. So I think during this holiday season, I will be, my next thing to stay sane, maybe exercising a little bit more.
That's totally in that lane too. I could certainly focus on that. Do you have any work from home tips for us? Managing a team remotely.
Yeah, first of all, managing a team remotely, I think that one of the hardest things I think all of us have seen over the last few months is productivity is up on our teams. But as this pandemic has stretched out a little bit longer, as people have been working from home for longer, not going back to the office, obviously mental health and being cognizant with your teams. Where, if you were in the office, you would go maybe play foosball or take a walk around the block. And so now that we're working from home, we don't have those interactions as much. So I encourage my team a lot to make sure that they're taking time off, that if they've got something to do during the day, sometimes just even disappearing, going to the grocery store, taking a walk, picking up your kid to and from school, is a great break from that. And we encourage that at Jane, to work with our employees to help them, balance that life, as well as like with their kids learning from home. Being able to create that a space for our employees to support their kids while they're working from home is really important. So that all around mental health is super big. The other thing too is obviously setting boundaries, right? We're home. We could work all day, possibly. At Jane, we have employees all over the country, different time zones, and it's easy to get caught up in that. But setting a clear schedule about when you're available and having that start and stop time, I know for me has been really helpful. That way I can turn it off, walk away from my office, and make sure that I'm tuning into my family and those important things as well, and still giving that work life balance, as you would put it, right? So those would be my two.
It's hard. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing everything that you have today. Appreciate the transparency, and I'm really excited for Jane for the holiday season, but especially 2021 and everything that's ahead.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed working with you, and what happens.
Likewise.